Hey everyone, we are live. Thank you for joining us in another session of Coffee and Conversation, or as I like to add a little bilingual fare, Cafecito and Conversation. I am super excited to have all of you here, and I'm just ready to dive in and introduce my guest to all of you, Tanzania Fair. Girl, we're just gonna dive in.
Yes.
Yeah, girl, welcome and thank you for doing this with me. And how about we just start by letting everyone know a little bit about you?
Thank you so much. So my name is Tanzania Fair. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I've been in DC for maybe about 8 years or so. I went to Michigan State University, and then I did an internship
Okay.
in DC. And I come from a low income community. I come from, poverty, and I knew that I couldn't go back to my community. I knew that environment wouldn't be conducive to my growth, and so I took a risk to do an internship in DC and stay out there and just navigate myself around. And then I met some amazing people, made some amazing connections, and then God just opened up so many doors after that, for sure.
I love it. I love it, girl.
Yes.
So, yes, welcome. I'm so excited to dive in with you. And I know that when you sent me your bio, I'm like, oh, we have a lot of things in common. So, I'm like looking forward to this conversation. And right off the
Yes.
bat, I can tell you my community. So, I am here in California as we're talking, and my town is called Empire. And there's about like 4,000 people, but it's really considered the rough side of town. And we had two schools. We had an elementary school and a middle school, but the middle school kind of closed down because there was one that was developed a couple of miles from here, and that's it was a newer school. Everybody went there. Everybody got funneled there. And so the one school that stayed here is elementary school. But to give you an idea, everyone's free lunch. The population is high, the ethnicity high on Latinos. And, I never really saw myself as doing something when I got older in this community, but I know it needed a lot of help. Like, my backyard is, normally when you have like a neighbor behind you and then a
Mm-hmm.
neighbor like beside you. Well, I have like several little houses behind me, and it leads kind of like to our migrant camp. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I moved into this house, because I am actually in the same cul-de-sac where I grew up, but it was a house that became available. And this particular house is, like in front of a street that is high, like in like the rough side of the street. It's just not a good street to be on. And so when I was living in this house, lots of things happened. Like, people would like break through my fence because they were trying to escape a police officer. Sometimes we would hear
Wow.
gunshots. So just to give you an idea, well, eventually there was an opportunity for me to become so unfortunately, because the town where I am and it's a low population, it's considered a unincorporated town. So we don't have a city council, but we have a municipal advisory council. And
Okay.
so they're elected people. And so 2 years ago, I got elected to serve a term here.
That's awesome.
Girl, so I'm sharing this because I always love to point out that when we use our stories to
Yes.
like help others, you don't even know those doors that God will open. Like, I never expected to be able to sit in an appointed position where I get to help this town. And so it's pretty amazing. I love the opportunity to share where we grew up, and I always like to ask that question, like, how did you get from point A to point B? Because I know that as females, we walk through we walk through fire, and we come out on
Yes.
the other side so much stronger. So thank you for sharing that. And so I just want to start by asking something, because we are doing a little coffee and conversation. How many cups of coffee, tea, or beverage of choice do you have each morning?
So I would say I drink green tea. So I would say
Okay.
maybe 1 cup in the morning, and then I do smoothies throughout the day.
Okay.
like green smoothies or things like that. But yeah, I would say like 1 cup of green tea, and I'll add like ginger and a lemon in it because I was diagnosed with fibroids. And
Okay.
so my goal is to decrease the fibroids naturally. And
Okay.
so green tea also help with that. So I'm just doing some things to, you know, make that go away.
Right, right. No, no, I love
Yes.
that. So,
Yes.
I actually found a company, and this is not a promo. They're not paying me to say this, but I was looking for something that would wake me up. Believe it or not, I'm not a fan of coffee because it does a number on my stomach. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm a big fan of tea. I tried doing celery juice for a while. I couldn't do it, girl.
I
Couldn't
tried
do
it
it.
too. I couldn't do it either.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. And then I came across this company called Mud Water. And I know it's like what Mud Water, I don't know about this, but it's like a flavored chai latte, and it has all these amazing ingredients. And let me tell you that by far it's what I was looking for. It perks me up. It doesn't have caffeine in it, but it's all natural. It has like Himalayan salt and all this other stuff, which I can't name you right now, but I know it's good and it's healthy.
I'm gonna have to try it.
Right? Two important things: good and healthy.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So, Tanzania, I was so excited. I am so excited to speak with you because I want to know about the network of entrepreneurs that you started. Like, tell us about that.
Yes. So it's called Sister Entrepreneurs Network. And the reason why I started is because I went through depression at a very early age. I went through self-hate for years, for about 15 years. That's a long time. I was in a mental bondage. And I felt like during those times, I didn't have no support. I didn't have nobody I could lean on. I didn't feel comfortable calling people and letting them know what was going on. I reached out to someone that I trusted. They didn't respond when I told them that I was actually in a crisis. And then that made me close up even more. So I think that experience alone really pushed me to create the organization for women to have a safe space where they can have people they can call if they do have a crisis or whatever it may be to help them heal and grow. But it's that authentic love, that authentic connections, so we really focus on entrepreneurship. I really want to get into help women to fund their businesses, helping them to partner with other organizations or just other women organizations, being able to collaborate together, being able to grow together, being able to share resources, being able to cross share products. If somebody's selling, makeup,
Yeah.
within the network, we can purchase some, right? So just really making a safe space for women. And then on top of that, it's the healing side of it also,
Right.
which is the transformational part, which I feel like is the most important part because you can't do business if you're not mentally healthy or mentally stable, so your mental is definitely number one. And so that was my purpose of starting it. And also my best friend, her name is Lavonda White, me, that's my best friend. And we've been rocking since high school. And just
Love
the type of relationship that we have is just so authentic. It's sisterhood, it's, supporting each other and not putting each other down. And just that being, having that person
Right.
who you can confide in. They're not gonna go share your business or talk about you behind your back. And so many of our friends just really admire our sisterhood. And I'm like, man, like, what if we had an organization where we can forge these type of sisterhood with other women from all over the world?
Girl, I love it. You're like speaking to my soul here. Yes, love all of it. And you said
Thank
something
you.
so important is the healing part of it. Because, as we were talking a little bit offline before we recorded, you said something so key is that sometimes, we move forward a movement with like empowerment, but that's where it ends. And we don't have that
Mm-hmm.
and then some, and you said a key word of healing and being able to provide that support no matter where you at in your life. Like, it is so key. And then I believe that's how the connection grows deeper, and that sisterhood or that tribe, just
Yes.
becomes amazing. So I am a big fan of saying that we need our own personal executive boards.
That's
Like,
right.
so not like community boards, those go sit on those board of directors in the community. Like, no, I'm talking about our own personal, like identifying key people who you
Yes.
can call on that will dream big with you, that will not
Yes.
hold you back, and also run alongside of you and support you. And so I just, it fires me up to know that. I love,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. I just, for the longest time, it was hard for me to understand. Like, I had something excited that I wanted to share with a friend, and or lots of times it's our family. We share these things with families and they're like, no, I don't get
Mm-hmm.
it, or let's change the subject. And so it's amazing when you truly can cultivate a network of women who are on the same wavelength with you, and that can feed off
Yes.
of that energy and just dream with you. So I love it. And so you said something also very important, that I was like asking this question because, like, I didn't grow up with a mentor. They kind of came to me as an adult, and it was more like, a friendship role. And different people, there's different seasons for different people. So I always like to say that, I'm a combination of the women that cross my path,
Yes.
but and really cultivating a similar network here in California. I realize that mentors are important. So, like, do you feel like through your network that you've built that it's an opportunity for women to get to connect with other women and like take on those mentorship roles and mentee roles?
Yes, yes, within the organization you're speaking
Yes.
of. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I have women that's reaching out to me about finding someone to mentor them, and so that's something that we do. We plan to implement, but we do have women that are ready to one be mentored, and then for women to actually mentor other women, and it's not just women too. It's just our young girls also. It's our young girls, so
Yes.
the sister network is not just for older women. I mean, we're talking about middle school girls, we're talking about high school girls, we're talking about college students, we're talking about that early 20, the
Yeah.
opportunity youth who need that support. So it goes deeper than that. But yeah, so definitely our goal is to start the mentorship program for sure. Mm-hmm.
I love it. So, what has been one of your favorite moments since you started all this?
I would say the retreats.
Okay. Tell us
I've
more
done
about that.
Yes. The retreats, it's a 3-day retreat
Okay.
for women to just relax and just kind of just unplug from being a mom, and just being able to really just relax and be in the moment and really focus on themselves. We talking about women that just run and do stuff all day. We just
Right.
be on the go. I gotta be a mom. Oh, I gotta go here, get my kids, do this and that. You kind of just on autopilot just all the time. And so it allows women to take a pause and say, wow, like now I can tune in on me. What do I want? What do I enjoy? What are some things I need to shift about myself? What are some things that I need to change? Or let me start analyzing people in my life. Let me analyze this guy that I'm with. Let me see if he's really, da da da, or how is he making me grow? Is he hindering me? And so we allow women to just really self-reflect in those moments. We have zip lining, which is so fun, and it really pushes women fear, basically. Essentially, it's like taking that leap of fear and being able to go. And so we do zip line, and we have a whole all types of different activities happening for women. Every day is a theme, so every day we focus on a theme
Amazing.
um for our women, and we come back as a collective and we
Okay.
share our stories. That's the first thing we do when we see each other. Nobody don't know each other. We share our stories, and women get to crying and
Mhm.
expressing, and you find commonalities that a lot of women has been molested. A lot of women have been abandoned, and then you find us people, and you're like, wow, like I thought I was the only one. It's like, no, you're not the only one. You know, other women have gone through what you've been through, you know, but being able to identify that and have that person that can say, I've been there and you gonna make it, you know, understand, you know, it really, really empowers the women. I would give one example. We did an activity where we had mirrors. Everybody had a mirror. You had to
Okay.
talk to yourself in the mirror. And so many women broke down because they never looked themselves in the mirror. They would walk past the mirror because they didn't feel confident, feel beautiful, or, you know, they maybe they self hated their self, and they had to look in the mirror and talk to themselves and apologize to themselves for whatever it is that they did to themselves. When I say women just broke down crying, and it took some women to kind of get themselves together and just literally just get it out, and it was just really a safe space for women to find that, to start that healing process. Healing takes time. So our goal is just for them to be able to start the process of the healing and then support them in their process along their journey. So that was just like amazing. My second one that I did, I actually told my story, my full
Okay.
story of what happened to me. And I was literally just bawling and crying in front of all these people. And I'm the one in leadership, right? So I show vulnerability from day one, right? With
Right.
just me being vulnerable in a space. And that made other women be vulnerable and open up, even though I didn't know them at that moment, you
Right.
know? And so it allowed women to just have that transparency, that authentic, being authentic and having that space to just be themselves and just release. And so it's just such a beautiful experience.
Mhm.
And so many women just left just being ready to just, you know, go for whatever it is they want in life, or just being like, you know what? I left that hurt. I left it at the retreat. Now I can leave that here, and we do something
Right.
called let that shit burn session. Sorry about that,
Oh, girl,
but
tell
and
me more about that.
so it's a sister bonfire experience. And so these women come together. We make s'mores, and you know what I mean. It's just you know, we light the fire, and so women have to write down what they want to release and let go, and they toss in
Okay.
the fire. And when they toss in the fire, we say, "Let that shit burn," and
Oh,
they just
yes.
release in the fire. And then we also talk about, okay, what do we want to manifest? The manifestation piece.
Okay.
And so just that experience is just something amazing also. So we do a variety of different things to really pull out to really help women to just release and let stuff go and leave stuff where it's at, and being able to talk through with them. And then what we're looking to do also for our next one is have social work, have a therapist there. So a
Okay.
therapist will be there, and they can do therapy sessions, and they can talk to somebody and have that one-on-one, because when you talk about your story and you start opening up, it makes you revisit those feelings and
Right.
revisit that experience. And so we want to have a professional women on site to really have the space for women to have that one-on-one sessions. And after that, they can work with the therapist at a discounted rate, you know. So that's one
Yeah.
of our goals also, to make sure that they have those resources to tap into.
Girl, I love it. I love it. So I have to tell you that I've done a similar session. We had a um you know, it's a beer, bras, and burning party. And
Wow, that
so
sounds so fun.
And so what we asked is that we asked that ladies who came and join us bring a bra that was obviously like one that was tattered up. You know, that one that you just put it in your drawer and
Yes.
so, and then we have them write like everything that they felt that was on them, like, you know, that was weighing them down, and just put it on the bra, and then they burned it. And we celebrated with
Wow.
beer.
That sounds so fun though.
And mind you, I'm not a beer drinker, but it was just the opportunity to come together and do like this tribe, you know, session where we just like burn, like you said, burn that shit off of us and
Yes.
raw and real. And it was funny because I remember friends that had to come, and they were like, Dominica, you want to do what? Like, what do you want me to bring? And I was like, yes, you heard me. Bring the one that's like the most like ugliest, you know, that you just keep it there So it was an amazing time, and I love that you have an opportunity to, have women come in this space and be able to just like take that off, because
Yes.
growing up, like I didn't leave it. I wasn't given these skills, to really work through feelings, or, I come from a very traditional household where, my dad is like the dominant Latino male. And, don't get me wrong, I love him to death. It's just, as you're growing up, you have to learn like, oh, this is culture. This is part of his, what he's been through. But, when you're little, you don't interpret that way. Right. And so I remember being once at an event where this type of session was being facilitated, but the woman had us, write everything down on paper and throw it in the toilet. And so I remember thinking, like, what? I don't get it. But just the process of doing it and flushing that piece of paper down the toilet was like, oh, so it's been amazing how being able to put myself in a room full of women who are trying to connect really has given me the opportunity to go through some of these things like that you're talking about. And so, for our listeners, or if you're viewing, definitely tap in to wherever you're from, like research where those communities are out of that women are facilitating these type of activities, because it is just so important to be able to, one, not only work on ourselves, but then as we're doing that, we're being able to, this is not my quote, but everyone knows that I love saying this, really having the ability to turn our pain into power and showing the little ones that they can do the same. So I love that. And so can you share a little bit of what has been your biggest challenge in pursuing your goals and your vision and your dreams in business?
I would have to say funding.
Okay.
Funding is very limited when it comes to us. Just being real.
Yes.
The pot is not there. So that's been a challenge. And so it's like, dang, like I want to find that break even point. When you being able to find that break even, then the business break even, now you're able to leave your job, or now you're able to, just kind of take it to the next level. So I feel like that's been my biggest challenge also. And I think the pandemic, even though I made it work through the pandemic, because I had some things that I want to do with like women meetups and stuff, but I had to get really creative and use Zooms and virtual world, which has been awesome also. So I definitely found ways to get around that. But yeah, I would just definitely say the funding piece has definitely been a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. I don't love the challenge, right? Because we all want to be funded. And so I didn't realize that the statistics for, well, not only females, but women of color, it is so hard to get funding, right? Versus our counterparts. And I didn't know what an angel investor was. I didn't know what a pitch deck was, until I really started to dive in into connecting these different networks. And I'm like, well, I want to take these important pieces that I've learned and infuse it into the network that I'm creating, the community that I'm creating. Girl, you said something so fundamental, is that piece of being able to charge for a service and know that you're supporting someone that's trying to pursue their dreams. Because I am aligned with you with that being the biggest challenge with my business is the funding, because, a lot of people the question that has been proposed to me a lot, I was like, well, why do we got to pay for that when there's another group, that, in my, not necessarily in my community, but in general, where it's a nonprofit and they get the luxury of not paying for services. And whether you're a for-profit or nonprofit, like at the end of the day, it's really the service and the transformation that you're trying to provide for females, right? And so, there's organizations that can provide a free service, but then there's also organizations that are at the heart of it are females that are really just trying to leave a full-time job and do this for the greater good and helping others.
Yes.
So if you're listening or watching, like I always say, work local and support the females that you know are trying to build something bigger than them and that are here in the community just moving forward despite of the challenges, and funding is like a big challenge, you know. And then
Yeah, and I think that's why. And I was going to say, I think that's why it's very important to me to make sure that I have that I create a pool where women can access funding, women per se.
I love that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so important. And I know that what is the most important thing about that is that when we encounter challenges such as COVID, and being able to give those females resources for their own businesses and like have them be a part of a network that can support them through that is also key. And this is why I love the opportunity to connect, you know, via, you know, a virtual world or online, however you want to call it, because it's like it is so important to find those females that have that vision, you know, whether it be in the same fields or in a different area. Like it's just so critical to be able to lean onto each other and support each other. And so through COVID, you know, I had to pivot also and figure out, okay, if I can't have in-person events, then how's this going to look online? But then again, you know, I had to like self-teach me how to do, you know, all this like, you know, crash course on Zoom, you know, making sure I know how to navigate Skype and all that. But what's amazing about it, and I'm sure you agree about this, is like once we learn this stuff, like then we can teach it also. So
that's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Totally looking forward to adding that component into the things that I do. But what would you say if you had to share a success or a failure? Can you share either or with whoever's eventually going to be watching or listening? Because I think that's such an important thing to point out, because especially with social media, you know, sometimes it tends to be the highlight reel. And so I like to get real and raw. And so can you share a little bit about that?
For sure. That's a great question. Actually, I'm gonna do both.
Okay.
I think biggest failure, I would say, like when I got my first job, so not advocating for salary. I think that was because I mean, I didn't know about that. So, and then going into the nonprofit world, you know, going to the nonprofit world,
right.
As an entry level job. I think for me, I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, because, you know, if you're with unless they're like $1 billion organization, that's different, right? But if you're working with a nonprofit who, you know, they struggling with funds, or they're trying to, you know, do X, Y, and Z, you're gonna only go so far in it, you know. So I think that if I had to do it all over, which I wouldn't, because, you know, I gain a lot of opportunities, you know, in that situation. I would say I would have looked at the market better, and looked at salary, and then also advocated for my salary when I first started, because once you get your first salary bracket, that's like the base for everything else. So if you settle at a certain amount, you know, then that's going to affect how you're going to move up in the chain field of just salary wise per se. So I would say that was something that I feel like I wish I would have known and looked at other industries where I could tap my skills into with helping people, because it's not just nonprofit. I mean, it's for profit. It's, you know, it's all types of ways. Right. I would say successes. So I have a few of them. I would say one, being the first time generational college student. I would say taking the risk to come to DC through an internship when I had nothing as a college student. After the internship, staying out there by myself with no family, and just grinding it out to find my way. Started in my nonprofit, which is Hype, helping young people evolve at the age of 23. Going study abroad to South Africa last summer, with my grad through grad school. And I will also say, like, having a 3.9 GPA in grad school and being on a National Honor Society. And I would just say, just impacting lives from all over the world. I touched so many lives throughout my journey, especially at the age of 23. I mean, I'm 31 right now. So, I've touched so many lives along
Love
the
it.
way. And I've planted seeds in people's lives that are blossoming, and so I really, that's the part that I love, and especially, my young people who've been through what I've been through or come from certain types of communities.
Right.
That's extremely important to me, so I would definitely say that those are my successes for me. Yeah.
I love it, girl. And you know what? I have no doubt that many more are going to come, girl, because with that grit and that determination, it's going to be a joy. And I love that we are able to connect in this way, because I look forward to
Yes.
seeing how, everything evolves, because girl, with that start, I mean, nothing but amazing things. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
yes. And so I actually, tell us a little bit more about the nonprofit that you started at such an early age.
Yes. So when I was a sophomore in college,
Okay.
um I like for one, like, I struggled so much in college as a first time generational college student, because I didn't have nobody to teach me what it's like on a college campus, how to navigate classes, how to study. I didn't have that. In high school, I had a math teacher. He was Caucasian, and he would say, "Just come to class and you get an A." So in that moment, when you went to senior, you like, okay, cool, got my hot Cheetos, I got my drink, like,
Right.
I'm good. Like, like, I ain't gotta do much, But then when I get to college and I'm taking the basic math level and I'm failing, I failed that class about 5 times for various reasons. Whether I didn't understand, whether because of the professor and their teaching style, and I just it just didn't resonate with me. But I failed the class a good 5 times, and then I had finally
Mhm.
passed it. But that it hindered me so much because of the teacher not really educating me on that math level. So my sophomore year, I was talking to some friends. I'm like, man, like, I want to start an organization for kids who first time generational students. I didn't know what the word was. I'm like, I just want to start a program for young people who, you know, don't have that support, don't even, or just never heard about, or just don't know how to navigate college. Basically, that was
Yeah.
my biggest thing. I didn't know how to navigate college. I had to figure it out as I go. Where other people may have parents who've been to college or have a bachelor's, have a master's already, and they can kind of show them the ropes. I didn't have
Right.
that. And so I wanted to be that program to help young people navigate that process. And so that's how the hype, and I'm always just like, hey, like, I'm just always just hype. So that's how the name came about. And then it
Yeah.
became helping young people evolve. And the organization I started at was called Fair Chance. And they
Okay.
basically do capacity building for other nonprofit organizations for free. So when I started, it was a guy, African American guy. He called me to his office. He said, "Look, if you need anything, let me know because you look like this." And
Mm.
I didn't even, that was that's like my first internship, or my first, like, real like job.
Right.
And so then after that, he became my mentor. And then I started seeing what nonprofits was all about in that environment. I was the communications associate, so I had
Okay.
to do the marketing and things like that. But I just seen all their missions and what they were doing and how they were impacting, and I'm like, dang, like, I had that vision when I was in a sophomore in college. I'm like, okay, now is the time to birth that idea. And
Mm.
so that guy, like, I call him my uncle to this day. But
Right.
he literally took me under his wing, showed me what a logic model was, showed me how to write a budget, showed me how to write a
Yeah.
mission statement, a purpose statement, a bit at the age of 23. So after that, maybe when I turned 26, I ended up getting a grant for the program, and
Okay.
it was funded for at-risk youth in Ward 8 in Washington, D.C. So that's how I started my first program, through a grant
Amazing.
that I got as an individual. Mind you, I didn't have a 501c3. They were
Right.
accepting people as an individual. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go to this meeting. I don't know nobody, but I'm going to go ahead and go. I was very scared and nervous because I'm young and I'm like, okay, I don't know what this even means. But I
Right.
was able to, connect with the program officers and say, hey, can I get on a call with you? How do you do this? And then with that made my name recognized more and knew I was serious. And then I ended up getting the funding for it. And I got funding probably about 5 times from that particular funder. And we got an award also as the best mini grantee
Oh,
at this like big event like in DC. So
amazing.
just the power of just walking in your purpose, walking in
Right.
your vision,
Yes.
and not letting nothing stop you. And so the mission of it, I feel like I'm kind of going ahead, but the
No,
mission
girl, no. Yes.
so the mission of the organization. So we focus on positive decision making. And so we develop our own curriculum to
Okay.
teach youth about positive decision making, where their voices is heard. They're able to navigate situations because sometimes they're emotional. They don't know to talk about their body language. We also teach mime. Do you know what mime is?
Yes.
Mime,
Mm-hmm.
pantomime. So we
Yes.
teach pantomime to our young
Okay.
people to develop their self-esteem,
Amazing.
to develop their character, to help them understand about body language, facial expressions, and really what that means, and really how to tell a story through movement to really heal our young people that looks like them, essentially.
That's amazing. I love all of it. I just
Thank you.
amazing, girl. Thank you for sharing that because I think that there's power in being able to say, it doesn't matter what age you are. You, as long as you're
Yes.
walking in your purpose, like those doors will blow wide open. Like,
Yes.
I had and she's probably eventually gonna either watch this or listen to this. I have a friend that I love dearly, and her husband, I hadn't met her husband. I've known her for like 3 years. And back in December, there was a community event that we were all at. And I'm going to drink a little bit of water. My throat's getting dry. Okay, here we go. So we were at a community event, and I started having a conversation with her husband. She introduced me to him, and he was asking me all these questions, like what high school did I go to, where did I go to college, and he said something to me that I just like, it was so profound because he was an educator at a school that was like on the bad side of town. It was a high school. And he said, Dominica, the kids that walk through my classroom, this is where some of them have ended up. And he said, I would have loved to have you in my classroom because without a doubt, just hearing your story, there's no doubt that you would have been in the same bracket of these kids. Like, you've done everything without mentorship and guidance, because also being a first generation, college student, I didn't know how to navigate those ins and outs of being in college, period. And, I chose the college that was like basically the cheapest and somewhat close to me that had the field that I was interested in. And, and I had to work. I had a job Monday through Friday, and, at the salad bar at the student center, I was your potato girl. And, and I was taking 18 units because I wanted to get, the quicker I can get out of there, the less expenses I had. That's what I had in my head. And then on weekends, I got a concession stand position at the stadium in the Bay Area. So I studied in San Jose. And they had a big stadium because soccer's known down there. And so on the weekends, I was doing concession stands. So can you imagine Monday through Friday, one job, school, and then on weekends doing this other job? And so as I am telling him some of these things, he said, I'm going to apologize on behalf of every single educator that you've ever encountered because they failed you. If someone would have took the time to help you navigate the system, I have no doubt that you could have went to any UC, because I ended up going to a CSU. It was cheaper. There's no doubt that you could have got like these coveted internships, like, this other stuff. And I like did so hard not to get, I tried so hard not to get emotional because no one had ever apologized to me, but I will be forever grateful that I had this moment with him, because it was this awakening of like, wow, I was failed.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Same here.
right,
Same
I
here.
was failed. Yeah. And going through high school, like I remember somebody asking me, a professional, eventually that I connected with, as I'm networking, and he said, "Who was your mentor?"
Mm.
And I said, "Nobody." And he's like, "There's no way. You should have been a statistic. There's no way that you could have achieved what you have done and not have a mentor." And he didn't believe me. And I was like, "No, I've had some amazing women cross my path that have influenced me or said, like, hey, Dominica, like, you know what? You're looking forward. You need to look a little bit to the left because there's an opportunity over there. And girl, you need to take it." Like, thank God that I've had some people, help me in that area. But when it comes down to the nitty and gritty and walking alongside of me and having that mentor role, no one was there for me to navigate college, or even like, I didn't even know how to take an internship at an organization, in Bay Area, Silicon Valley. It's like, there's a plethora of opportunity, but when you don't know where to look, I when I graduated the CSU, I realized, like, now what? Also going through school, I didn't have that role. We had counselors, but nobody, I don't remember having a session with my counselor where they're like, Dominica, here's the organizations in the Bay Area that you can tap into for internships. Like, I was failed again. And so, eventually I went on to my master's, but through my own determination of wanting to have it. And I love sharing that because it is, again, going full circle to being able to connect to different organizations where you
Yes.
can meet these women that can help you navigate some of these things. And as you develop this, executive board, your own personal executive board, these women, come up, or men, key people, that are meant to cross your path will come up and
Yes.
give you these opportunities. And
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, for sure. And, something too, going along the line where you pointed out that not knowing how to navigate salary. So one of my first jobs, like right out of high school, was working at a movie theater. And I've been there for a couple years as I was going through junior college because, I transferred. And I was like, why are all these people getting promotions? They're becoming, the position was chief of staff. So you would get to be the person with the walkie, and the cashiers would call that person to come and give the money, and you would do the inventory, like the really cool stuff in the movie theater. And I'm like, that girl got hired. He got hired like way after me. Like, how are they getting it? And so I asked one of the girls, and I said, hey, did they offer you your position? Like, how did you become the chief of staff? And they're like, Dominica, you just go and ask for it. Girl.
So powerful. Yeah.
I was like, what?
And
What?
it's crazy, and it's crazy because like even like if you look at statistics, I mean, men get paid more than women for the same job. So it's definitely an issue when it comes to salary, advocating for that. But
Right.
I've learned that, if you don't act, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yes.
So if you don't ask, then you won't get it, But
Right.
I think sometimes women fear, like, oh, I don't want to lose my job, or like you can't, like, you're asking for a promotion. You have, you can show, you can back up your work and what you've been doing and the things that you've produced in order to advocate on behalf of your salary. Yeah.
Right. And if there's anything that, if you're a listener or watching, if there's anything that you need to write down as a golden nugget, it is that right there is
Yes.
life changing. If you don't ask, it's always going to be a no,
That's all right.
girl, like that I'll never forget that moment. I can definitely visualize it as we're talking about it. It was like, what, but I love the conversation that we're having, and this always happens with our sessions that we run out of time. So as we're coming to a close, Tanzania, is there something that we didn't talk about that you want to share? And then please let everybody know how they can connect with you via social media.
Yes. I would just say opinions don't matter. I think
Yes.
and everybody not going to understand your journey and how you move.
Yeah.
You know? Connect with people who are like-minded. You know, and that's hard to find in families. Honestly, it's hard to find like people,
Right.
you know, in your families. But just know that those people are out there. But don't be afraid to take the risk. Don't be afraid to, you know, just delve deep in. I think sometimes people feel like they have to have everything together. No, you don't. You know, you don't have to have everything together. The thing you got to do is just start. That's it. The difference between somebody else is actually doing it and the person that's not doing it is that they just started. They took a risk and they started what they wanted to do. So yeah, that would definitely just be my advice. You all can definitely find me at sister entrepreneurs at on Instagram. I'm sorry. Imanti underscore apparel underscore. That is my fashion line, which focuses on mental health. So basically incorporating mental health into fashion. That's the whole purpose of the clothing line. And my personal page is I am Queen Tans on IG. So that's where they can find me at for sure.
Love it. And so again, my name is Dominic Escatel, and we're wrapping up a session with Coffee and Conversation. And you can find me on www.chicanainc.com, you know, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, all the same handle. And so, girl, thank you so much for
joining us this was awesome.
Morning.
Was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And so with that, we're going to tell everybody bye, and thank you for listening. Bye, everyone.